In the previous video, linked in the description below, I talked about the importance of praying in accordance with God's will. Throughout history, people have wrestled with knowing and understanding His will. The Bible teaches that people actually have the ability to know God's will if they do not conform to the patterns of the world, but are transformed by the renewing of their minds through the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Put another way, the Lord can teach us directly about His will rather than have us rely on the thoughts or wisdom of people. There's a story in Numbers 13 when the Israelites listened to and trust the word of some leaders that actually went against the will of God. Moses was commanded to send 12 spies to explore Canaan, the promised land God was going to give them. After 40 days of scouting, 10 of the leaders report back that the region is fertile and prosperous, a land flowing with milk and honey. But they also point out that the people who live there are large and powerful, too strong to overtake. The other 2 leaders, Caleb and Joshua, saw the same things in the land as the 10, but they come to a very different conclusion. They declare that because the Lord is on their side, they can easily defeat their enemy, despite their ominous size and strength. In that moment, the people of Israel were faced with a decision about which voice they would listen to. They chose to listen to the bad report and responded in fear, despair, and complaining. If they would have paused and taken some time to hear the voice of God, they would know that Caleb and Joshua were the ones speaking the will of the Lord, and not the other 10. It's interesting to think that God knew how all of this would unfold beforehand. If so, why wouldn't He command Moses to send only Caleb and Joshua to spy out the land instead of the other 10? I believe it's because the Lord chooses to put us in situations where we need to seek Him in order to discern His will. Oftentimes, it is not in the outspoken majority, but rather in the still small voice of the Holy Spirit. Whose will are you listening to and following in your life? I want to encourage you. It is possible to hear the voice of God. It is possible to be taught by God directly. And it is possible to know the will of God. The Bible declares, if you draw near to God, He will draw near to you, and that you will find Him if you seek Him with all of your heart. Bless you to encounter God, to hear His voice, and to know His will.